something?
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so today is Thursday, October 25th, and as always, everything we're going to be talking about today is for educational purposes only. Nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. So let's talk about what happened with AMD earnings, and this is probably the number one stock that every person that owns a platform is looking at this morning. This thing got completely obliterated. We can see it was funny before. If you look at it, it's funny how a chart can change. Just the way that you have a chart can change everything. Because if you look at the chart this morning, it doesn't really look that bad. But then when you come back over and you look at yesterday's aftermarket, this thing just, a complete fell right off the cliff. Got that little bit of a bull flag that came back up here, and then we saw this thing tank. So most important thing to be looking at right now is this 18 level. So one thing that I'm thinking this morning, and we have some good prints here and there, and we're going to go over it, but we have a ton of stuff from yesterday that has to pull up, that just continued to go down and did not pull up from any of their prints, which we're going to be going over. And AMD is one of those. But coming in with earnings, it's a little bit different than when we're going to be looking at Facebook and our SQ and stocks of that nature. So coming into that 18 level, it really did not show us much. If it lets me go back far enough, which we could come right here, you can see we did get new selling coming in at that 18 level, but it was immediately followed by buying. And then if we come back over, it is getting some bigger buy prints coming over. You can see 1820 was another big burst that we had that came up above. So as of right now, it's kind of stuck in this consolidation, and we have a very, very mixed level. We're going to want to see it kind of break out of this consolidation and give us a few more prints. But as of right now, based off of those sell prints at 18 and then the buying right after, we should see this thing pull back up, a decent amount. But then once again, there is new selling that came in at the 18. So it's going to be very, very interesting this morning, but this is definitely taking up most of the volume. You can see, most of the any new stocks that aren't like, our everyday stocks or name brand stocks, they have some volume, but not really much trading going on because you have this, and then we also have Twitter. Now, Twitter's taking up a ton of volume as well. We can see it jumped up this morning up to that 31. But one of the things that we're seeing is that it's the same type of deal. It's a little bit mixed. We did get a whole bunch of profit taking that came up as it was coming to the 31 level. And coming back over, you have a few aspirants. So you do have a little bit of buying that is sitting there. So it is pulling back from a decent amount of buying. Once again, I'm not really worried too much about the selling itself because we know people are going to be taking profits, when you have a stock that jumps up like this. But at the same time, I'm not really showing as much as I would have liked. Okay, so the print lines, remember, a print line is not when you have that big of a print. And if we go back over to AMD, and you look at the 575,000 shares, we can't go based off of what the color is. If you can print 575,000 shares, it usually comes from some type of dark pool or in between institutions, and they can really print whatever color they want. So just remember, it's going to be bullish above and bearish below. So both AMD and Twitter taking a ton of volume, and AMD has that new selling at 18, and Twitter does have a little bit of buying up at that 31 level. So really going to want to just see something a little bit better. With this much volume, we're going to need to see a lot of prints for us to really get that idea of, once again, what definitively has to happen. We talk about that all the time, and we want to see something, just a level that gets cut, with this much volume being traded already, that just kind of gets obliterated with one type of prints or the other for us to really get that idea of where it's going. Next one looking at is Facebook. Excuse me. So Facebook yesterday, this thing needs to pull up higher above the 150 than it did. It barely pulled up at all, but this thing, as it was coming back down, it had the 149 level, 150, 148, 147, and 146, all selling that never ended up pulling back from. And that's what I'm kind of expecting on most of these stocks. Now, there's no the stocks coming down. One sec. Stocks coming down is not a reason that a stock came down a lot that you would go long on it and it has to come back up, okay? But the prints were from yesterday are telling us that based off of all that selling and not pulling up, we should see a little bit of a recovery come in, that plunge protection team, to bring us back up. We have one print at 148.50 on the ask, but that's not really enough to really show us anything. But this is certainly something I'm going to be watching. We should see a pretty good range coming into Facebook this morning as well. SQ, another one. We had great selling yesterday at 72. And then as it was coming back down, we have 71, 70, 50. There's just another one that has a lot of spots where it did not pull back from the amount of selling that we saw coming into it. So I am looking for, the opening of the morning for a little bit of a recovery. And then the other thing I'm looking at is Tesla. And I don't typically trade Tesla just because it's really expensive and I could usually find something that's better. out there. But one thing that I really do like, if you come back to early this morning, 7:19, if we look over there, you have 320. We have some really nice ask prints that came back in. So we're sitting there. It's down a bunch, but coming down based off of the fact that right here on this push, it had to pull back from all that buying that we saw coming back into it. So I am expecting Tesla to come back up over that 320 spot. And if we look at 324, we also had a print, which one print, it definitely is going to affect a stock like Tesla because of the fact that there's really no orders out there. I mean, you could see it's almost a wasteland. You have 100 shares at 48. It's just not much trading. That's really the many orders that are being put out there. But once again, that 20 level is really where I'm going to be looking to see this thing to be able to come back up above. Anything new in T? So let's take a look at T from this morning. It's absolutely doing nothing. So we're basically just kind of in a little bit of a pull up from yesterday from that selling that we had at 30.50. Not really showing anything new yet. We know the amount of selling that we have back in it. But once again, T is a name brand stock. So I would not be shocked to see that kind of follow the trend once the market opens and us start to see some pull-ups coming back into a lot of these stocks. So a lot of what's this morning is going to have to do with once we see the market get closer to open, if that plunge protection comes in, and we're going to start to see the stocks come and pull up above all that selling from yesterday that was not satisfied. Remember what we talked about. So 30.50 in T, okay, we got to our low over here, okay, at about 30.25. So it's 25 cents away from where our price target was. So I'm okay with that. Now, should the amount of selling that we saw in it, should it go lower than that? It absolutely should. It's just going to be a matter of time. Remember, T is not a fast-moving stock. And because we traded so much volume yesterday, that's where we got this $1.54 range from. But we can't expect T to trade the same amount of volume today that it traded yesterday. So you're going to have to, this is one where you definitely need time and have to be patient. The personality of the stock is not a quick mover. Can I look at NVDA? Of course. NVDA moving a little bit this morning. Nothing too special. But if we come over here, 193.50, that's probably the best show of hand that we see coming in. But based off of it coming back up, it looks like we're going to get more of a pull up from those prints at 193.50. But overall, it looks like we're going to end up coming back down below them. That's a pretty big burst of selling compared to everything else. And we had another, before at 535. Well, that was yesterday. Coming in. So based off these buying, just like we just saw this pop up, I'm going to be expecting it to come back up and then come in. V, I doubt is doing anything. It usually is not in the morning. So let's take a look though. 110,000 shares. Yeah, it's not really doing too much. You got a print of 137. It's just kind of stuck in this consolidation. It looks like it definitely has some new buying in it to be able to go up a little bit further, but it also has a little bit selling. It's a little bit mixed, but it definitely has the ability. You do have some new buying that's coming in at that 137 level. Not a lot, but there is a little bit there. Anything in Microsoft? Let's see. All right, so Microsoft moving a bunch this morning. Ooch. That's not good. All right, so you have 105.25, but if you look right here, 106, that is a big burst of selling at 8:37 coming into this morning. So over 106, you would expect it, which it looks like it kind of already pulled up over that 106 level for the pre-market, and then we're on our way down. That's a lot of selling right there. So 105 is going to be a very, very important level for us for you to pay attention to. I didn't see anything right now that printed at that 105, but we have a lot going on. ASGN, let's see. Nothing. It's traded 2,100 shares this morning. I don't see anything there that we could go on. It made a beautiful move yesterday, $5. But as of right now, during the pre-market, I wasn't watching it yesterday, obviously, with all the commotion on the other regular stocks that we watch. But as of right now, it's going to need to show something. There's just nothing there. All right, guys. Anything else out there that I missed? I think that's about it. We're going to be focusing a lot on our everyday stocks this morning because that's basically where we have the story, and there's not too many other new things out there that show anything new or any real type of trading. It's mostly all going towards the Twitter, the AMD, and stocks of that nature. All right, guys, let's get ready for the morning. I'll talk to everyone in the chat room, and happy trading.